Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's morning. Tony, I'll be starting like with a song and of course, my scripture. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. I say that, Tony, because we wake up to a whole lot of craziness even before like our feet hit the
Amen.
floor, don't it? Like it be crazy.
Amen. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
It be the stuff from last night sometimes that be like, what? Did I just go to sleep on that? I can't wake up to that. This the day. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Renee. Good morning.
Ooh, Tony. Man, listen. I sent you that 2-hour YouTube, man. You know how I get down. I'll be like, Tony, look at this, look at this.
Yes.
Tony, that thing. And then I sent you the clip of that little boy on IG, right, talking to that male mentor. I really don't know who that man was, but the fact that that man pulled out that little boy's feelings was absolutely heartwarming to me because we don't focus enough on the psychological well-being of a male, and particularly this, Tony, particularly males who have been sexually abused as in their
Absolutely.
adolescence and young adult childhood life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. There are a lot of males, young men, who have been sexually abused that live in silence
Mm.
because they look at it as though, you know, they're ashamed. They looking at it is it was it their fault?
Mhm.
How will people look at them? And all of those things.
And Tony, look, even on the flip side, or with that, in addition to that, some of them who have been sexually abused as children have been made to believe that that kind of was a rite of passage. So that brought them into their manhood early because as a male, and you can help me out with better with this, right? As a male, for you to be sexually active gives you a status of I'm that one. So if
Hmm.
you at 12 or 10, whatever, say that you've been sexually involved with somebody that was 18 or 19 or 20 and you 13, 14, you got street cred. Like that made you like the man, but on the inside, especially if it was not given freely, on the inside, you battling with some stuff because it's like, nah, I'm really not the man. They took something from me that I didn't offer to them willfully.
Yep. And the worst feeling in the world is when you cry out for help
Mm.
and no one hears your cries. I remember wanting to write a book. This was maybe in 2020 or 2019.
Hmm.
And I was going to call the book Cries from Within. And the reason how I came up with that idea was someone who was close to me, father contacted him
Hmm.
and told him, come get me. And they responded, nah, I'm not coming to get you. You're high.
Oh,
And then
wow.
they found their father deceased. And,
Oh.
going through the house, they recover a journal. And in the
Mm.
journal, it says, my oldest brother, who I always looked up to me, has been molesting me since the age of 7.
Wow.
So
Wow.
this person held this in for 60 some plus years.
But Tony, it's funny that you said that because you know that I wrote a book and my book is called Silent Screams.
Hmm.
Listen, the voices that children hold inside. And that right there, and just funny that, well, not funny, but I wrote that about my sexual abuse. But as we're speaking, it's like I didn't even realize it. With you said that sexual abuse is genderless. Like it happens to
Yeah.
both sexes.
Oh,
And
yeah,
so
definitely. Yeah.
I think that men probably hold it more inside than women do. And that 2-hour show that I sent you, it said a lot. And as a woman, right?
Right.
We get more attention to our sexual abuse. We get more attention, more programs, more support than the man. And I'm just like, but then we wonder why, like you said, we wonder why we're in relationships with men who are domestically violent or who are, suicidal or who are abusive. You know what I'm saying? It's because he didn't get the same support as the
Oh,
women did about what happened to him. And then if you have men, come on, let's just keep this thing 100. Then when you have the men who are now having to deal with the psychological residue of those things, especially if the sexual abuse came at the hands of the same sex. Now,
yeah.
so wow, right? So I don't like telling nobody else's story, only the part that I play in it. But the thing about it is that touches me because my own sexual abuse, of course, as a woman, but we had someone on the show, Baltimore Spotlight, Corey Rashad, and he spoke about the pastor in Baltimore that sexually molested him, that, had
Mm-hmm.
created a montage of problems with, substance abuse and identity and things of that nature. Well, the crazy thing about that, Tony, is that same pastor had access to my son as well. And I
Wow.
remember that I remember, my son growing up, he of course he was, athletic and, educated, intellectual and things of that nature. So he drew little girls to him and this, that, and another. So, he was that one, like all little girls liked him. And I just was like, boy, you got to focus on football, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm saying is I remember sitting, I don't even know, I'm getting a little emotional. I remember sitting on my porch when we lived in Ricestown, Maryland. And he had had a lot of little sexual partners already. And he was like 14. And I knew he was out there and everything. And he sat on the porch and he was just like, Ma, one of the reasons I'm so sexually active with these, and I'm glad that we was able to have conversation like that, number one. But he
Right.
was like, the reason I'm so sexually active and everything like that is because sometimes I think or I have thoughts about my sexuality. And I'm like, wait, what? Because even though he was made to suppress what happened to him, and what I mean by that is his father kept telling him, ain't nothing happened to you, lying, this, that, another. And I'm steady taking him to therapy, and the therapist is pulling out stuff or whatever. So he's battling, like, did this happen? Wait, what did happen? Did I consent? But he was like 3, 4, 5 years old. He didn't consent to any of that. He was put in that
Right.
position. So now we're at 14, and because you've suppressed some things that happened to you, whether you were able to talk about it or didn't understand it or whatever, you suppressed it and it made you very promiscuous. But that promiscuity came at the hands of, I'm still trying to identify who I am and who can I talk to this about as a male, because who's not going to call me names or look at me strange when I'm just trying to communicate what I'm trying to navigate through because of my experience.
Mm. And the sad thing is, it's like when men decide to open up and maybe say to their partner, I was molested by a man when I was young. And some women will, oh, I can't deal with him now. They'll look down on them or throw it up in their face
Yeah,
and use it as a tool to hurt them.
yeah,
And then it makes the man go back into that shell and say, I should have never said nothing. And then
right.
again, it's like you're dealing with a walking time bomb because all of this is bottled up inside. All of these things that have happened to you have been bottled up inside.
But
It's a
you say
lot of
this,
men, yeah, who have been through this
yeah.
and they dealing with it. And it's like we're dealing with walking time bombs. This is how the domestic violence comes into play. This
Mm-hmm.
is how, you know, anger, lack of communication, psychological issues,
Mm.
am I gay? Am I
Substance
not
abuse.
gay?
Yep,
Am I
yep,
straight? Am I not straight?
yep.
Oh, substance abuse. I'm going to just take drugs and try to suppress this. I'm going to drink. I'm going to try to suppress this.
And or I'm gonna do this to other kids, right? The kissing
Yeah,
cousins, the
yeah.
uncles, the this, that, and
It
another.
was done to
That,
me, so I'm
yep,
going to do it to them. Yeah,
yep,
that's
yep.
the mentality.
But
And
you
it's
said
like,
this too. You said that's why it's so important to really understand who you in relationship with. And I say that because
absolutely.
Tony, I ain't gonna lie, my last husband, he exhibited some behaviors, right? And
Right.
I was just like, hey, you ever been touched? And he was like, I mean, as a kid, like this older lady in the neighborhood, she would bring the kids over, whatever, and do stuff to him. And again, he was like, but I wore it as a badge of honor, right? But again,
Right.
it opened up a sexual portal for him early on, right? To bring in a whole lot of other spirits with him, right? So
Right.
sometimes when that happens, when you get these men, and correct me if I'm wrong too, though, but you get these men who have this high sexual desire, right? They into a whole lot of stuff because that portal was open early. And the same things with a female, but I mean from a male's perspective, it can go into pornography or bestiality, a whole lot of other
Right.
things because that thing, it's almost like substance. If I get a little
Yeah.
bit, I want to get higher and higher and higher. Well,
Higher.
now
Yep.
it's like, okay, I was open to this sexual thing real early, so I want to make it crazier and crazier, crazy. I want to explore so many stuff. I want to go into threesomes and this and orgies and blah 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 because now
Yep.
I can't get enough. You understand what I'm saying? Now I said like that. I said that for my ex, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I asked somebody this, and this not funny, but it's crazy. So I was like, so I was talking to another male, and I was like, so if a male desires, requests, or allows his female partner to enter him from the back, does that mean that, he get, and the guy that I was talking to was like, I couldn't even really finish getting it out before he was like, yep. And I was like, well, I mean, that don't. And he was like, yep. Like, no. And I was like, well, dang. I said, well, I was getting ready to say, is that an indicator that maybe something has happened? I mean, I've talked to men who, yes, that has been the case. But I'm like, are we making that a litmus test or, to say, yeah.
Well,
And he was like, yes.
it's interesting you say that. The other day, we always on social media because this is where we pull a lot of our information.
Hmm.
There was a Muslim sister on there, and she said,
I saw that.
her, yeah, and she said, my husband insisted, went with me to purchase toys and all of this, and she said he will want me to strap on
Yeah.
and have sex with him.
Mm,
And she said, I ain't believe he was gonna go through with it. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna see if he go through with it. She said, and he was comfortable with it as if like this wasn't his first time. So again, you got men who've gone to prison who have
yeah.
been raped.
Yeah.
You got men who have gone to prison and end up raping boys
Yeah.
or other men.
Yeah. And
You
and the
know,
thing about it, Tony, is this is what gets me, right? Is going back even to the little boy expressing how he was feeling. We don't like to give men feelings, especially our black men. Like we don't give them that privilege to feel, right? And if they have feelings, then they're looked at with having less masculinity, which really it makes them, to me anyway, it makes them all the more of a man who can identify with his emotions, right? And it doesn't mean that
hmm
he's weak, but I think, and I want to go here for a second, I think it's because we take our ideology, our thought process, our perspective seriously from a feminist look. And where did the feminists come from? Not us as black women, right? But it
right.
came from the book of the less melanated pages. Right. And we keep
hmm
looking at the structure that was set up by another system, organization, and ethnicity to be our playbook on how we run or how we operate in our community, and we can't do that. You understand what I'm saying? We
Right.
keep taking this feminist movement, and again, as a woman, I believe that I'm strong, I am this, I am, you know what I'm saying, I'm capable, I'm this, that, and another. But at the end of the day, I ain't trying to fight for no rights to be as equal as a man. That ain't how I was
hmm
recruited. That was not even how I was created. So you can keep that feminist bull to yourself. I'm not in competition with a man. I know my rightful place to support the man, and supporting him doesn't make me less than. It makes me that equal of greater, because that means I know my importance to lift up something that, or someone I already see has value and need to be supported and lifted up.
Absolutely. But we have so many men who struggle with emotions, failings, because again, you're looked upon as being soft, you're looked upon as being weak. So a lot of men struggle with who can I trust? Who can I share with?
Mm,
One of the craziest things I remember thinking in my book, Between Me and God, I said something like, when I got married, I knew it was over for me because I was like, you can't have feelings and emotions and be in the game or be in the streets. It
Ooh,
clouds your judgment. This is a thought process that I told myself because this is what we were told. You can't have feelings. And the movie Heat, he said, if you can't walk away from something in 30 seconds or less, you in the wrong field
wow,
because you can't be in love and then you got to do something and say, I can't do it because I gotta you can't have emotions or feelings. And that's how I was brought up. That's how I was being in the streets. I can't love nobody. I can't care for nobody. So
wow,
I had to be heartless. That's what I told myself. And this is how I was living for a long time. Like
wow.
women to me was like a joke, a game. It was like, and then it was crazy
When I'm
because
alone in
after,
my room, sometimes I stare at the wall, and in the back of
yeah,
my mind, I hear my
hit my
conscience call.
conscience call. Yeah. So it's like after I would sleep with these women, I would say, like, man, why did I even sleep with her, man? Like, it was like no care in the world. I
And
saw
that's got to
everybody
be a
like,
scary place, though, Tony, to
oh,
be able
that's
to be
crazy.
intimate with somebody but not have an intimate connection. Like,
Nope.
that's
Yeah,
got to be a
yeah.
scary place internally.
It's like I say, it's a ugly feeling.
Because
It's
it does
crazy
make you
to
feel
live like
probably
that.
like a monster. And you like,
Like you're a
wait, so
monster.
yeah.
You are a monster
Mm,
all day long because you'd be like afterwards, like, wow, like this was pointless. Like, why even do it? I don't even know why. It's like that's crazy to live like this.
yeah,
But this is where so many men are, and it's like women have a lot of support, but we're not supporting the men the same way. And
we
a lot
don't.
of men
We
have
don't.
been abused,
We don't.
and we think that it only has to come from sex. No, you hear that little boy when he's in that video, he's
Yes.
crying out, yeah, he has a mother, but I can't talk to moms.
Yeah. And
He
see,
has a
I felt
father.
that way too, Tony, because
Yeah,
my son sat and
exactly.
talked to me, but I can understand, even though it hurt me, he was talking to me because his father, first of all, wasn't in a
Wasn't there.
psychological,
Exactly.
emotional, or intellectual place to be able to have a conversation with him. Why? Because, well, I'm gonna leave that alone. But at any rate, it's like I got my mother. I'm talking to her, but she's not, listen to this, but she's not a male. She may get it from the loving perspective, but she can't get it from the fact that where I'm really feeling because she's not a man. But check this out, Tony. So when I did talk to some men who was around, like, was supportive at this time, when I talked to the men, my son got mad at me and was like, why would you tell my business? Like, I don't, and I was like, I felt like, what the heck now? I took it to the place that could be supportive, but now you feel like you can't trust me because I told somebody else. But I was just looking for support for you because I knew that I could be there in a certain capacity, but not in the full capacity that you needed. And that's what that little boy said in that group. I don't know who that man was or what that was, but that man pulled that little boy feelings out amongst his peers, other young men who supported him after he was able to just release what
Yes.
what he needed to. He looked like he was about maybe 16ish or so. That
Yeah.
boy had been holding that for a long time and was able to finally release it.
But there's a lot of young boys that's like that. It's like who's going to step up first? Who's going to
Who's
show
gonna
the
cry
sign
for me?
of some?
Antoine Fisher.
Who's going to cry first? Not I.
Mm,
I'm not crying in front of nobody. I'm gonna be strong. This is why we get kids who, when they say, why we keep having so much gang violence? Man, you gonna let yo do this to you and you ain't gonna do nothing? Oh, I gotta retaliate. I gotta show that I'm this. Even though you know it's wrong to do, but you got something to prove.
got something to
You got
prove.
something to prove.
And
And
so,
when you said what you just said about your son saying, why did you tell my business? And you said, well, I had to tell somebody because you feeling like the story that I continue to hear and I disagree with.
yeah, yeah,
Moms can't raise boys. I don't
yeah.
believe that. I don't believe that.
Well,
I
I know
believe if
I can
more,
raise a boy, Tony. What
right,
I'm saying is there are just some things genetically that I can't empower no, I can't impact as much as a male can. But I always said this. I know that I can raise boys. Like, no disrespect to anybody. And I really, again, I told you I'm learning how to continue to give myself accolades as a parent who's singly parented. Even when I was married to their fathers, I was still a single parent. You understand what I'm saying? And so the fact that, and I'm not judging nobody else, right? Because everybody has their
Right.
own journey. But the fact that this boy don't have no record, the fact that this boy went to college, he played D1 ball, you understand what I'm saying? He's got
Right.
good jobs, he traveled. That right there is my affirmation, or my concrete evidence that yes, a woman, and guess what? A black or melanated woman can raise a melanated inner city boy to be great. We've got so many of them. Yes, that can take place, but there's still a part of that male that I cannot reach or be more effective in because I'm not a male.
Well, I still differ. I differ within that situation, and I'll tell you why.
Hmm.
What happens if there's the male in his life and the male tells him all the opposite things to do that's wrong?
That's true.
Man, don't deal with no one woman. Man, don't trust these women out here. You can't trust these. Always have a side chick. Always have somebody ready, man, in case the
Yes.
girl you with don't act right.
And if
So
they don't
so
say it, they'll show it.
man, don't let nobody put their hands on you, man. This what you do. Anybody do this to you, you do that. You telling me as a male that we telling them all the right things because we're a man? No, that's not
No.
the case sometimes. It depends on who is the man that's in that kid's life. See, so many mothers I feel has a better advantage because mothers and sons are super close. My mother has 4 boys, so I know.
Mm,
Sons going to tend to listen to their mothers more so. Sons have more compassion when it comes to their mothers.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
when I keep hearing, yeah, they talking about, well, how can a woman teach the man about this and that? How can she not? She got just as much experience. Like, look, this is my experience.
Right.
When I was dealing with your dad, this is what
Ugh,
happened to me. I don't
my
want you to
God.
go down that road.
My
But
God.
so many women, they go into immediately thinking, I need a man to
Well,
help
yeah,
my
no,
son.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
And it
and
could come and and
and
then
that's real talk because
we
when
heard
I did
and we
talk to
heard the
dudes,
hold on, wait a minute, we heard the statement what Barack said when he said, I feel like all men should have a gay man or whatever as a mentor in their life, blah blah blah, or whatever. I honestly, and I have nothing with what he said because he gave his opinion.
right, right,
But
right.
my thing is, again, when we talk about a male, what happens to the women who turn their sons to the pastor and the
Well, wait a
pastor
minute, you
got a
know that?
sexual issue?
Well, yeah, that's what happened with my situation.
So
So,
tell me, how does that help your son better than you? You don't have no ill intentions to hurting your kid. See, this is where I tell a lot of mothers when you depend on that man, that guy to step in and be who you
mm,
feel your child needs. There's only one person your child needs other than you. That's God.
yeah.
Ain't nobody gonna guide them and teach them more than God. So if you teaching the structure to your child, this is what you need to do. Read this book of this and that and blah blah blah. But we don't put the Bible in our kids' hands. What
Ooh,
we do is we talk
ooh.
about other things that has nothing to do with life. Oh, you don't want to do this. You gotta get a job. But many times you never hear mothers or fathers. Here's this book right here is your answer to everything you're gonna deal with in life.
But the crazy thing with that too, Tony, is the fact that the sexual immorality happened to my son in the church.
Right.
So listen to this.
Exactly.
Now listen, I'm a licensed ordained minister. I'm out here, whatever. But I did not make that child go to church. I ain't make none of my children. I mean, I took them to church, but I didn't. I was lax on his church experiences because I knew what he had experienced at the church at the hands of the church. So I, in a sense, helped him have a relationship with God so that he wouldn't be angry and upset because of what happened to him at the hands that his father allowed in the church, right? So I kind of like I would always give him scripture. He actually literally got a scripture tattooed on his arm, but I would give him, like you said, at home. Now the thing about it is what you said about here. I want to go back here for a second. You're absolutely right. See, at the time, and I can only use myself as a perfect example because I know me. At the time that I reached out to those other males, right, which was his big brother supposedly, and all of that stuff, the big brother, big sisters program, this, that, and other. I remember my son saying to me, "Stop trying to find men for me." And I was like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "I'm looking, like you said, I'm looking for that support, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah." And he was like, "Well, stop." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" But again, because I was in my struggling nature, I felt like because I didn't have any support, his father wasn't, what I'm saying? I mean, no, man, I'm trying to be real mindful and respectful in how I speak. But when I tell you that was a situation, I'm like, uh I was just like, well, let me find the men around me who are positive, what is that, not to impact. And my son specifically said, and I'm just saying this because I'm like, what you said, a mother may need to hear this. Stop trying to find a male to put in your
Hmm.
son's life, even if it's positive. Let him cultivate those mental relationships with people who, I mean, check their check who they connecting with, but let them find the men that they can connect with, opposed to you trying to find, because every last one of those men that I put in my son's life who was positive and impactful, not one of them are in his life, nor that they help navigate him, and they all let him down too. Which was, again, guess what? The church didn't let him down with a man touching him. His father didn't
Hmm.
let him down, and then the men that I put in his life let him down. So now he got a lot of issues. And don't get me wrong, again, this can go several ways or it can go deeper, whatever the case may be, but I believe that's why my son is so embedded into his Omega Psi Phi brothers, because these are the people he
Absolutely.
found as mentors to him. Because all the men in his life, whether I was putting them there or whether he encountered them, let him down. So,
Right.
man, Tony.
Well, that's one of the things I say organically. A lot of times, God will put people in your life that's supposed to be
Absolutely.
there. Like when I
Absolutely.
was ripping and running the streets and acting wild, guys from my neighborhood was like, "Yo, you should come to CCB. You're on trial for the basketball team, yo. We need players, blah blah blah." And I ended up going to CCB, and I met a guy by the name of Roger Dickens, who just contacted me the other day and said, "Hey man, I would like for you to come to my Hall of Fame inductee at Towson State
Wow.
University."
Well, we also need to get
This
him on
is
the show then, Tony.
right, and he also came to Georgia recently. Called me up, went to go see him. But I remember my first time walking into school. I got all these gold chains on, and he said, "Man, what are you here for? Are you here to learn, or are you here to, like a showboat? What's going on?" To this day, one of my good friends, family, his brother, Jeremiah Dickens, family, nephew, Branford, family, Pat McKinley, family, Coach Carter, family. All of these men came into my life, had something to do with basketball, and then it was like life lessons.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
happened to me. Don't do this. Don't do that. It took a while. I ain't gonna say like it happened overnight, but to this day, I can pick the phone up and call any of them. They're gonna pick up,
I got you.
and vice versa. Because if again, organically, God say, this is who you need in your life. And a lot of times when I say there's no playbook to parenting, one of the things we lack in life is the spiritual aspect of
Absolutely.
teaching these kids about God. We put the women, man. Most women's destruction, man, human, that flesh. We ain't giving the word to our kid. We giving, hey, our mom got this new boyfriend. He played football. He used to play football too. All of a sudden, you want him to coach your 13 or 14-year-old son, not knowing who this man is and what this man is you going off of. Y'all just met. This might be the one. He might be a good stepdaddy.
Whoo, woo, woo, woo. Listen here. If y'all ain't getting nuggets from this here show, Tony,
Hmm.
I think this gotta be a part two, because this right here, we can go on with some more stuff because it's still some nuggets in here that we gotta touch on, right? But
Oh, absolutely.
we gotta let the rest of the show go out. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta put a pin right here. But we definitely coming back to this one, Tony. This was an amazing show, and I just want to say honestly, again, I just give you big props and I honor you as my friend, as my home, from here. You know what I'm saying? From the B board
Absolutely.
to the ATL. Like I really do praise God for the person that you are. And I'm so thankful that, we co-host this thing together, because I wouldn't even have it no other way. Y'all check this out. This was an impactful and powerful message this morning. I want you to share it. I want you to think about it. I want you to just pull out some of these nuggets and stuff like that, y'all. But I also want y'all to stay tuned for the conversation and for the fact of the matter and for this good music that we have coming up. Because this D.O.D radio, baby, it's for your best self, your best life. This the best radio. That part, and say that. We out.